Yes. Okay. So Graham, let me suggest, before we start with the interview, we'll have a big toast on Jan and Freddie.
Indeed.
Because they are doing such a fine job for the 10th radio day in a row. And I think no one of us had ever thought that they will do it for 10 times in a row each year. And we're definitely hoping that another 10 years will follow.
Indeed, I think another 10 years, another 20 years will be all right.
Yes, of course.
And to celebrate that champagne was really delicious. It really was. And it's always been my pleasure to attend the radio day here. I think the only one that I missed was in 2008. And I shall continue to come for as long as I can. I'm getting a bit older now, and as we say in English, long in the tooth. Ich weiß nicht what it is in English, but you probably can figure it out. But it certainly is a pleasure to be here and to come. And what I find about coming to the radio days here is the fact that it's such... What? Now we've got a park, huh?
Slight problems at the beginning, Ray. No problem.
Here's the world news.
Just carry on.
Carry on now.
Yeah.
What I find about coming to the radio days here in Erkrath, which by the way is always for me a very great pleasure, I get a chance to meet other people interested in the radio world, and many of them approaching my age, not all, but some of them, and also for their genuine interest in radio and broadcasting the way it used to be. And sadly today, I'm afraid, where it's all computerized, it's not as it was before. I was talking to Chet Ruther a few minutes ago, and we talked about that same subject. And I said that it's all computerized radio. I was to do a guest program with Tony Allen back in 2002 in England for the Radio Caroline, and we got down there to Maidstone Studios, and I walked into the studio and I said to Tony, the first thing I said, Christ, where are the fucking turntables? There were no turntables. And he said, oh no, it's okay, Graham, you just push all those buttons. And I said, well, I can't do that. And he said, I'll do it for you, Graham, don't you panic. He said, you know, you're a bit older than me, and just relax. And so we got through the program, and it was, I think, about a 2-hour show or something. And I think it was received by the listeners, you know, they enjoyed it. But it was, it said something to me that if that's the way radio is today, we need, we certainly need broadcasters that can carry on and do radio in such a way like we did in the 60s, you know. Because in those days we had real radio. Today I find the radio is all computerized and push buttoned, and a lot of the personality is missing. And that is a sad thing. I mean, I began many years ago at the age of 14 in Radio Australia, and I succeeded there before I had the privilege to come over here and work in offshore radio, which was a great experience for me and a great pleasure. As I think back now though, the radio today is, particularly in Holland, and I live there, but it's all push button, and there's a lack of personality.
Why?
I've had my time, and I'm very glad that I've had my time, and I'm very happy and hope that there are other people to take my place and other people's place, the young ones, today. Because if radio had stopped right now, or as it had stopped in the offshore days, we'd have a dull world just poking around with our computers. So it's a very good thing that there are young people willing to carry the radio world on, because it's not just a medium for communication or information, but it's also for entertainment too, and we need those people.
Ray, I have recaptured that it has been 8 years that we have been sitting here along with Jan, interviewing you on your radio career,
Yes.
on your fascinating radio career, I must say.
Yes.
And someone came up with the idea you had to write it down, to form a book. I don't know who it was, but it took some years, and now you can proudly say the book is ready. It's in my hand.
It was one.
Let me suggest what we should do now.
Yes. Well, in actual fact, it was one of my old aunts in Australia. When I went back to Australia, as far away, I go back every 5 years to see the family, although they're dwindling. We're all getting older. And one of my old aunts said to me, she said, Graham, you've had a fascinating radio career in Australia, and now also in Europe. Why don't you write a book? And I said, well, that's a very good idea, to write a book. And I thought nothing of it at the time, and for a few years I did nothing about it. And then when I first came to the radio day here in 2002, and meeting all the people that come here in a very informal way, which I find is very, very, I like it so much more here, if you know, in 2 other radio days. Here it's more cozy, you know, for me. And so I thought in 2002 it's time to stop and think about it and write the book. And so I have written it, and it's a book on my life from the time I was 14, and it it tells you how I grew up, how I began on radio, my early life as an asthmatic, and so there it is. And that's what I've done. And it tells everything. Yes, of course. It tells everything about my radio career, and it also includes all the scandal as well.
Let me suggest what we should do now. I've taken along 60 pictures.
Yes.
Most of them are in the book. And
Yes, yes.
I suggest that you comment on the pictures as a sort of appetizing for the book.
May I have a question first?
I mean, a way to flog the book. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
One
Okay.
question before that.
Yes, by all means.
Graham, why do you say there is a difference between the radio today and the radio yesterday? Let me say that.
The radio.
I mean, let me explain why I ask. Today you have to push a button that music comes out.
Yes, yes.
Yesterday, I remember when I was 68 in the States, we had a control which was later on used at Radio Caroline, big ones with the big knobs.
Yes, yes, no, yes.
There you had to push the button for starting
No,
the record and this. There's only pushing buttons.
There was
It is the man behind the buttons who makes it.
But as I said to Chet about 10 minutes earlier when I was having a chat outside, I don't think possibly in Deutschland, but certainly in Holland, and most certainly in many parts of Britain today, and sadly, for that matter, in Australia. My station where I worked, the third station was at 2RG. We had block programming and everything was run by the station. Today, sadly, a lot of the radio is run by, particularly in Holland, the advertising agencies. Therefore, the presenters, disc jockeys, radio announcers, don't get a chance to express what they want to do, because the advertiser says, we're putting so much advertising in that program, so-and-so's got to play this, that, and that. And that's how it goes. So and that's why I'm glad that I'm out of that situation now. Because at least on Caroline and R&I, we had the freedom to play what we wanted. And we had the freedom to express our own personality. And that was a very important thing.
Okay, yeah, I have to agree.
I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life. I mean, I've been a dancer in the theatre, working in between radio programs, you know, in Australia, with reading half a dozen lines in My Fair Lady or Paint Your Wagon on those shows, you know. But that was another part of my life. But with the back injury slipping on, well, I had an accident, so I stopped with the theatre, and I enjoy the theatre these days from an audience point of view. But I had great times in those days, but when money was lousy. At least in the radio, it was very good.
It is today.
So I stayed with the radio. And I think it's very important, as far as the radio goes today, that we have radio announcers, presenters, or DJs who can carry on in the tradition of the good old days of like Caroline and R&I. You understand?
Yes,
Right.
sir.
The track you ought to do.
Will you please sit down there so you can comment the
Move that thing out of the way.
Come on over here and sit on my knee.
I'll sit here.
Oh, hell. Is that you?
That was me in 1937.
Which one, the right or the left?
On the right.
So the pictures will change every 25 seconds.
Oh, it's the computer, is it?
Yeah, the computer.
The computer will do that. Yes.
That's my mother and myself, and the dog Rusty. And my two sisters in the background, my sister Margot on the right, and on the left over there, Gill. Margot was about 5, and I think Gill was about 3, 4. I was about, 8 years old. It was on a holiday, that was actually, totally photographed. That's in my own radio station in Melbourne. At 3WM Williamstown, my two sisters doing a children's session.
What do you mean by your own radio?
Well, read the book and you'll find out.
Okay.
It's, on the left-hand side is Gill, on the right-hand side is Margot. They were doing the children's program.
So how old were you then?
I was about 12. 12. That's me at beginning at Radio 2RG. Doing the Housewives program in the morning, reading some letter or something from a listener. And as you notice, the turntables there were fantastic. And
What does the writing say?
there's a 78 record on the turntable too. Another one there. That's me still at 2RG doing the morning program. I was about 18, 19 there. The microphone, by the way, there is one of the old carbon types. Fantastic microphones. There it is there again.
Yeah.
And that is me also doing the 2RG morning program with Diana Pascal. She was one of the girls that used to work in the office, who I used to take out for an evening, or so we'd go dancing sometimes together in those days. That was a long time ago. This is me on the RHMS Patrice, the Royal Hellenic Mail ship. It's a one-class ocean liner. That's me on the right there with the drink, and next to me is the girlfriend I had on the ship called Judith. Yeah, she was quite a good-looking girl in those days. The other ones are that's me when I was about 19 in London. When I had first arrived, early film. I'd been in London for about a week there. It was taken in the house or the garden actually of a visitor. That's a promotion picture when I joined 2RG. All radio announcers had them. They had them hanging outside the front, in a big glass thing outside the front of the radio studios. And that was me back in those days. I was 18. I just joined 2RG. Prior to that, I'd worked 3UZ in Melbourne. I was 14 then, and then 3KZ after that with Alan Freeman. And that's the fantastic ocean liner that I came away on, the RHS MS Patrie. It's a Greek ship. And I tell you what, the Greeks know how to look after people, and the service on that ship was absolutely fantastic. It was really good. Wonderful. One of the most happiest times of my life was travelling away on an ocean liner. A lot of things happened there actually. MTN and 2RG. MTN, at that particular time, the old studios of 2RG were integrated with the television station NTN 9. And that's myself outside the studios with Nancy Bond, who was head secretary, me, Fiona Blackman, who looked after she's our paymaster, paymistress, and Roy Murphy was the other guy. He was the sales manager there. Now we come to 390. That's Peter Barclay up there on the lift. He was our record librarian at Radio 390, and we used to go up in that thing to get to the top of the towers, and it was quite a harrowing experience. If you didn't watch your step, you could maybe fall off or something. Welcome to ASA Empowering People.
Warum muss das immer so sein?
Ja.
Geht weiter.
That is the cook on the laissez-faire. When I joined Britain Radio England, he was a fantastic cook, and he's holding a tin of AJC asparagus, which is quite
Your
good.
microphone.
And getting feedback, yes. That's Ron O'Quinn on the left, and Ron O'Quinn on the left, and one of the crewmen from the laissez-faire Radio England, Britain Radio it was, yes. They later named the ship the Aldrich Fisher. That's just another publicity picture they used when I joined. I thought it was Radio 390 a long time ago, and it's just a picture, you know. It's probably a lousy picture now.
But 390 was a happy time.
It was. 390 was a very happy time. Here we look here. On the left you've got David Sinclair, then you've got Roger Scott, then you've got Paul Beresford, then there's Jonathan Hall, then there's our fantastic cook John on there. Then there's Peter Barclay in the background. He was the record library, me, and Dougie, our ship-to-shore tender man. It's been said that John left a job in the Savoy Hotel to work for our 390. He was a fantastic cook. On the left here, this is Radio England, Britain Radio. On the left, Cole Nichol. Then we've got Phil Martin, myself, and Johnny Walker on the right. That's we're playing, I think, a game of Scrabble or something on the back of the ship there, just relaxing in the sunshine at the time. This is when my first time on Radio Caroline. I think I look dreadful there. I look like a regular hippie. I thought I'd found loving awareness, but quite frankly, I think I'd found fuck all. The only thing I'd found was at least Ronan sent out plenty of Guinness. that was always a great tune. Radio North International, the voice of Europe, the sound of the world. Well, that's me there doing it on the Radio 3 and the Radio North Sea.
It's a censored one.
It's a censored one. Well, yes, it's the background there. There should have been a young couple there, a guy and a woman, and the young guy is kneeling. No, the woman's. Someone's giving someone a blowjob. I don't know what it was. It certainly wasn't me. Now that's one of the
Juliana Werding.
Juliana Werding. She was a very big star in Germany at the time, and she had she sang the Deutsche version of Knights in White Satin. Martin knows what was the title, Martin? Well, that's me putting her on. I'm about to cue her to go to sing, you know, and that's the record, the acetate is spinning around there, which she sang. She had a very big hit with that, and was very, very popular back in the 70s there. And I think she was on the program, the Erkrath with Dieter Thomas, with that record. Yeah, he was a fantastic broadcaster too, Dieter Thomas. Here we have on RNI on the left Brian McKenzie, then you have Bill Berry. There's me in the blue T-shirt, and then there's Roger Scott. There's Sheila Ross and Mike Ross, the husband and wife, Don Allen, and over here Ian
Anderson.
And Ian Anderson.
Daffy Don.
Yeah, Daffy Don. Yeah, that's them there. That's me with Rudy Kagan. Left and old Rudy. He was a good old friend of mine, Rudy, and sadly we lost him a couple of years ago. But we had expected him to come to the Radio Day in about 2006, I thought. But unfortunately he was not able to make it. He came from Düsseldorf as well.
He had a very heavy accident at that time. So it could
Yeah. Well, this is me on the Mebo again, and just sort of saying hello to the fans that came out on the Fortuna tender, which you can't see, but I can see, with about 200 people on board. It was quite an experience, you know, and to see them all, to think that they enjoyed it. This was Henk Talsma, one of our cooks. And it's Asa, how is you? Everything is possible.
Not paid version.
Here we have a photograph of Dick Rose. He was our tender man for Radio Nordsee on the left, Robin Banks in the middle, and myself on the right over here, with the long hair. As I think back now, I thought, Christ, why did I grow long hair? I don't know. But then again, everybody did in those days. It was a sort of fashion, you know. As you can see now, we all had it. That's me on the left. That's what's his name on the?
Peter and Werner Hartwig.
Peter and Werner Hartinger in the middle, and Brian McKenzie on the right. So that was also taken on the Nebo too. That picture. There actually are about 68 pictures in the book. Really, there's a lot of pictures. Here we have Brian McKenzie on the left, on the Mebo, just sitting in a very dangerous position by the transmitter, actually. That's the transmitter. Brian McKenzie, Mike Ross, Roger Scott, or is Arnold Lane in those days, myself, and then Daffy Don on the right. A photo, I think he was taken with a camera from one of the fans. Here I'm singing something, I don't know what it was. I sang a lot of songs, not just Way Back Home, but many other songs. I'm a trained singer, you see. From going back many years ago, when I was 18, I studied classical singing with Madame Trenby. I also learned, sang pop music, and I got a lot of playback records. And so I had to sing in that particular club, the Lullaby Club it was. There's me on the left with Andy Archer, Jesse Meyer, or John Meyer. We all had girls' names on the ship, and in the middle there, that's I forget who he was, but he was And that's Mike Hagler on the right, you know, who's the pumping up all this loving awareness that Ronan believed in. And that's here.
Bonnet?
No, it's me. Where did you get that?
Hans.
Oh, that was a rather scandalous one, that one. That's me with Robbie Boland on the right.
A.J. Barons?
A.J. Behrens and me there. Little Robbie, that's him on the left. When he was going to school, he used to pedal his bicycle down to Dick Rose's office and hand me all the records of Bolton and Bonham to play on the radio. He was a good lad. I still see him now and again, and his brother Ferdy, of course. Well, they're married with families now. That's Johnny Jason. Johnny, damn good broadcaster was Johnny. Very good voice as well. Yeah, he had a very happy, good person. This guy should be he's old now. He should be around the radio today. He's getting onto my age. But these are the people we've lost, unfortunately. That's Elia Vandenberg on the left. That's Andy Archer in the middle, and that's Tim. What's his name on the right? And the T-shirt says, "If it ain't stiff, it ain't worth a fuck." Mainly because Andy was promoting a record label for Stiff Records. And I'll tell you what, they weren't the only things that were stiff on the Nevo either. On the left was me. In the middle is, when I had troubles, there was Robert de Gooders, or Art Roberts' mother, Elizabeth, Tony Allen, and on the left, Gerrit de Goeder, or Gerrit Roberts, on the right there. Yeah. Taken outside their house in the Straat. She looked after me when my house was blown up. On the left here, there's Andy Archer, and Dave Gotts, Mike Hagler, and a couple of crew boys on the right, which I can't remember their further. They've just arrived, coming on the tender to join the Amigo there, when I was there. It was another experience we were working on the Caroline ship, which I tell about in the book. That's me in the cabin on the Amigo. I had the top bunk there. Yeah, it was quite an experience to be there on the Caroline. In those days I used to smoke, but I stopped many years ago later. And of course my hair was getting shorter again. I think I'd seen the light of the hippie days. This is me in Amsterdam. This is in the Radiotag, my house. My very first house, a small apartment. On the left you see that television there. That television's 35 years old and still working today.
Wow.
It's a Philips KR11. A very good one, yeah. There's Agatha, in all her glory. There we are. This is when my house just above that was blown up. I came back from work from the Dutch World Radio doing a night shift. And the cameras were there, and I got the shot of the light, and all these people looking rather despondent and very worried. As I certainly was, and that's when I went, that's what happened there. Yes. And there we are, you have another picture of the explosion. And it was a very sad time to be there. It was all, I tell all about that in the book as well.
Was it a gas explosion or?
Well, they thought it was a gas explosion, but it turned out it wasn't a gas explosion. And the Italian guy and his wife hadn't paid their taxes. Weeks were after them. And a lot of things happened. In other words, the shit hit the fan. You could translate that. This is Peter Chicago and Samantha Dubois in the Radiotag in my house here. They used to come and visit regularly in those days. Of course, they're looking much younger there now. And sadly, Samantha's not with us anymore. Pity. That's
Tony Allen.
Tony. Yeah, that's Art Roberts and Tony Allen. They had something going in those days, and well, it was fine. Nothing wrong with that. And so there they were on the Radiotag, enjoying themselves. That's me also on the Radiotag. I'm presented with the Pirate Radio T-shirt, so I put it on, and there it is. And that's the bar which was built in my house on the left-hand side there. And that was built by one of the guys who worked for one of my manager's groups, Kuhn Barker's group. He was Sexy Lexi, he built the bar for me. This is me in the Radiotag again. I'm being nursed by my fan club secretary, Pam Wood. She wanted to have a picture taken, so I said, well, shall you nurse me? I nurse you. So she said, oh, hop on to me, and so I did. As you can see, cooking is one of my hobbies there, and this was in the Radiotag again. It was a small apartment, but a very cosy one. I've got a big apartment now, but the small ones are also nice. I'm happy anywhere, you know, I'm very easy. And up top there's a picture of Nazaré in Portugal, where I go every year. That's one of the beaches there. That's the bar that Sexy Lexi built for me. And it's in the old house. I was ashamed to leave the old house, but I was offered a newer, bigger one, because the old house was falling down, you see, and all the whole thing, so that's what happened. Tony used to stay here in my house in those days too, yeah. And that's my cat and horse chair. I'm very fond of animals, dogs and cats. I like all, you know. And he's not with us anymore. He was 16 and we lost him at the time. He was got old and faded away. But he was a nice cat, and I had him from about 6 months old. I got him, and he'd been arranged, you know. And all that, you know. This is, you know, where did you get all these pictures from? Christ. This is friends when I went out to Australia. That's John Burke on the right. That's Gill Haynes in the middle there. In the white. She taught me to play the piano. Well, I can still only do a 5-finger exercise. And Marge Condon on the right. This is me way back home, just outside the city of Griffith. Griffith's a provincial city. It's not a big city. It's you say Griffith's about a bit smaller than Düsseldorf, really, a bit smaller. But over those mountains, or the hills, then you come to the city, and that's taking me way back home there in Griffith. This is me in the Luda bar again, entertaining the customers, the dancers, the people. And it was taken back in the early 70s, I think, that picture. So the Sennheiser microphone there, you see? Yeah. This is myself on the left with Pam Wood, my secretary. She's a very nice lady, but I felt she was old enough to be my mother in a miniskirt, you know. But anyway, nice lady, and she ran my fan club, and on the right there is Richard Kint. She was looking after that's the Mi Amigo, when it was in dock in Zaandam. It had been pulled back because of having paid the bills. Here we are with the Blues Dimension once again in the Radiotag. That's Lenny Ripke, the lead singer, on the right, and me in the middle there with the guys. And that would have been about 1967. They were a top band in those days. Music similar to John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, or Gibby and the Blizzards, or any of those blues bands. Here I'm being interviewed by one of the local radio stations in Rotterdam, in my own home. A presenter came from Rotterdam. Sorry, I've forgotten the lad's name, but he interviewed me about my life at that particular time, about 6-7 years ago. And they wanted me to choose some records which they wanted to put in the programs for me. So I chose music from Cliff and Phil Spector, etc. And here I am at the Dutch World Service, Radio Nederland Beeldomroep in Hilversum, where I did music programs and also read news and interviewed people and did all sorts of things there. And we had panel operators there in those days, so you had to just wave your finger and the record would come on. But that would be about 1976, I think, that picture. Here we are right in little Biel-Omroep, which Biel-Omroep means world service, like Deutsche Welle, it's the same idea. Me on the left in that rather camp shirt, Neville Gray in the middle, and Roger Broadbent on the right. We all came from Australia, you see. So, and the Radio Netherlands building was very, very big. This is me within my theatrical days in Australia. We were getting old, and we were all in theatre together in those days. And that's Jeff Mack and his wife Tabby Francis on the right, and me in the middle, taken in Amsterdam. We'd just been on a canal boat ride, and they came to visit me back in 1997 it was. It was a great time. And they've retired now. That's me again at the Dutch World Service, Biel-Omroep, and doing a program. Yeah. Memories keep flooding back to the old days. All these pictures are, well, most of them are in the book. This is me with Tony. Christ, where'd you get that? This is when we did when Caroline asked me to come down and do a special for them in Maidstone, and I said because I read England at the time. I come more to here than I go to England actually. But anyway, there's Tony on the right. He still wasn't well then. About 1 year later we lost him. We're doing that program today, which was pretty popular. It was a one day special. I think they've got it on the CD. You can get hold of it if you want it. There's Ronan and myself at a Radio London reunion in Blackfriars. It's a part of London. Back about 2000 and something. So that's me again. So there we are. You see it all.
Can't stop it.
Exit.
That's a problem with computers, you see.
Graham,
Yes.
we all have to thank you for spontaneously commenting on these
It was
pictures.
my pleasure. Shall I come around there again?
I thought it should be sort of appetizing for buying this book,
Yes,
which
yes.
I certainly can recommend.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
So you can buy a copy outside.